Did you know that in addition to being a great source of entertainment throughout history, music also has the power to boost our brain's well-being and performance? One particular music genre, known as classical music, can be compared to the state of relaxation itself. And while it has been shown to have a powerful impact on the mind, there is something unique about classical music that heals even the body. In this video, we will discuss how classical music can stimulate the brain to our favor and explore the subsequent powerful effects that make classical music an absolute necessity to our bodies. Keep watching to learn more about how classical music can transform your life today. If music is food for the soul, then classical music is much more than that. Classical music would be a mixture of powerful vitamins like omega-3, antioxidants, and most likely some dash of caffeine. So, what happens when we listen to classical music? Our body releases something called dopamine, which causes an increase in pleasure. And if you're unfamiliar with dopamine, it's a chemical that acts as a barrier to stop stress hormones from being released, which leads to mood improvement. As a result, we can achieve intellectual clarity in our minds, which helps activities such as writing and studying to become far more fun and productive. Apart from that, there are several other positive effects on the brain that leave us in awe. Let's take a look at some of them. Calmness and stress relief. If you're feeling stressed about work, school, or just having a hard time in general, then take a few deep breaths, sit back, and put on some classical music. Why, you might be asking yourself? Well, it's because classical music has been shown to decrease stress levels. A study conducted in 2018 found that after listening to classical music, there was a decrease in the heart rate and breathing of nervous patients before their surgery. In addition, the level of stress hormones in their brains also diminished, which contributed to lower blood pressure and reduced anxiety. Memory improvement. The Department of Medical Genetics at the University of Helsinki in Finland found that 20 minutes of exposure to classical music daily can facilitate the expression of genes involved in cognitive function. Those who listened to classical music during the research reported feeling better. According to the researchers, dopamine levels, synaptic activity, and memory-related genes were all found to have increased. One such gene is synuclein alpha, which has been linked to the evolution of hearing and memory by giving scientists insight into how birds remember their songs. Furthermore, genes involved in neurodegenerative disorders were suppressed by listening to classical music. In addition, classical music boosts neuroconnectivity in the brain, reducing the rate at which the brain is aging. Sleeping aids. If you're having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, you'll be glad to know that classical music is a better replacement for pharmaceutical sedatives. In 2008, researchers from the Institute of Behavioral Science at Semmelweis University in Budapest showed that after listening to classical music, there was a decrease in sympathetic nervous system activity, anxiety, and blood pressure of students who had difficulty sleeping. As a result, the students were able to fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. At this point, you might be thinking that most of us can fall asleep to just about any genre of music, from pop to punk rock. So what's so special about classical music? Here's the difference. Listening to lively songs with fast tempos and thought-inducing lyrics might lead to mental overload, making our brain work even more instead of getting it to relax. On the other hand, classical music with its slow pace, peaceful tone, and calming rhythm is a better option for people who can't fall asleep easily. The Mozart effect. Dr. Alfred A. Tomatis, a researcher from France, was the first person to use this term to describe what he believed to be a mind-altering impact from listening to Mozart, with the possibility that it can raise your IQ. Even though there is little scientific evidence to back this idea, it had gotten quite popular among researchers and scientists. Therefore, if we start listening to classical music, we may have the power to mold our performance and get the most out of all of the effort we put in. To get an even better effect, if we begin playing classical music for infants and children from an early age, we will be helping with their brain development, which allows them to become more successful and healthier individuals overall. Also, if you find yourself struggling with something in the future, try putting on some Mozart to help open up the creative channels in your brain, which will ultimately enhance the quality of your work. Classical music soothes pain. Numerous studies have shown that music can reduce pain. However, classical music offers more remarkable benefits. According to the studies published in the International Journal of Critical Illness and Injury Science, listening to classical music helped patients in intensive care who struggled with pain, anxiety, depression, cardiovascular difficulties, and sleep disruptions. Even very young children can benefit from this painkiller effect. In 2018, the Early Human Development Journal showed another study on the impact of classical music on the pain perception of 80 newborns at an intensive care unit who were undergoing painful procedures. The researchers of this study found that the classical music shared similar characteristics with lullabies, including being rich in harmonics and medium-low frequencies with a consistent beat which can soothe pain in infant children. Classical music improves intelligence. In recent years, this assertion has generated considerable debate. While listening to music may not necessarily increase one's IQ, there appears to be a connection between classical music and cognition. When we listen to music that we appreciate, whether it is classical music or another genre, we feel more joyful, and our intellect gets boosted by this happy mood. In other words, music has an effect on how we feel, and this, in turn, influences how we do in activities that require the work of our brains. In fact, a healthy brain is a happy brain, and listening to music, particularly music that brings back happy memories, can assist in boosting levels of dopamine and neuroconnectivity, thus ensuring that an aging brain remains in good health. In this way, the relationship between music and cognition becomes meaningful, despite the fact that much work still needs to be done in this area to have a clear answer to this. Classical music improves interpersonal bonds. Recent studies have revealed that harmony in music interests may serve as a foundation for social harmony with one another. Research conducted in 2014 and published in the Journal of Aging and Mental Health discovered that among people who had dementia, classical music functioned as a middle way to help them feel connected with others. During the research, participants got to enjoy music as a group and were then asked to discuss how they felt about it with one another, creating a bond between them. Family members who were involved in the process expressed their appreciation for the social impact of musical connectivity, whether it was achieved by singing songs together, attending concerts, or participating in music therapy sessions. If you want to try this out, then turn on the radio or take a seat at the piano and encourage people to enjoy some classical music with you. And the music may go a long way towards bringing you closer together. Enhancing work efficiency. Listening to classical music while performing repetitive work can greatly increase one's productivity. However, the effects of music on task performance are contextual and individual specific. According to research published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology Applied in 2019, the extent to which classical music boosted productivity depended on the boredom proneness or tendency to get bored of the task doer and the complexity of the activity at hand. Even so, you shouldn't take for granted this simple method, which can potentially increase work output. And the next time you have to take on challenging and repetitive tasks, make sure to put some classical music on. Your work efficiency will be enhanced by the smooth flow of the sound, keeping you entertained and focused while completing your laborious task ahead. Last but not least, listening to classical music doesn't only have a beneficial impact on the brain, but also the body as a whole. The fact it can lower blood pressure, help release feelings of worry, and even lessen pain intensity should be more than enough to start a new classical playlist on Spotify. The enjoyment of listening to classical music every day is something that we should all strive for, and nothing can beat the benefits you will gain from it. See you in our next video. Until then, happy listening.